hear me and if you can hear me clearly. And let's start all over again. Okay, so welcome to everyone. This live stream is finally starting. We had some technical difficulties. My phone mount literally broke, so cable ties are currently holding this whole situation together. My name is Hanneli and I do art tutorials, and welcome to everyone that is with us. Today we are going to be drawing and painting a Monstera plant or Monstera plant or whatever you call that. And for this tutorial I'll go through what you will need now. The video will be available afterwards. I'll leave the live stream up, and then if I have time to go through it and edit it, then I'll just replace the other video, but for no period of time will you be not having this content, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's quickly run through what you are going to need. For now, you are going to need a pencil, any type of pencil. Let me just find my pencil. There's a pencil. I have a normal HB pencil and an eraser. An eraser that is currently missing, and I need it now. So let me quickly go get some. Okay, I know it's in here. We need an eraser as well. And then later on you can actually draw with anything that you want. You can draw with pen, you can draw with anything, literally anything. And then later we're also going to color it, so for that you need any type of paint. I have my gouache paints right here and some water and a paintbrush that's also supposed to be around here somewhere. And then, or some markers or anything to color with. Colored pencils will also work. Okay, let us start with the basic structure of the plot. So if you can draw an oval and if you can draw a heart and a few lines, you can pretty much draw this plant. Quickly before we start, does anyone have any questions? I know there is a little bit of a delay, so I'm just going to wait a while to see if you have anything to ask me. And also see that the camera is a little bit off center. So let's do it like that. Oh no. As I said, cable ties are currently holding everything together. Okay, please don't fall. All right. Okay. Where were we? Any questions from anyone? Let's get to the part that you've been waiting for then. Okay. So to draw a leaf shape, you can either draw an oval or a heart. Usually it depends on the plant. Sometimes they are more heart-shaped, sometimes they are a little bit more oval-shaped. So let's start with just a heart shape. So we're just going to draw a heart here. This doesn't have to be perfect, and then I'll show you how to fill it in. So that's a heart. You can already kind of see the leaf shape in here. So let's add that little stalk in the middle that every leaf has. And now you can already see it's starting to look a little bit like a leaf. I am just going to quickly do this so you can see the art. Okay, now I want you to take your pencil and you're going to go around the border of the leaf, but every now and again you're going to make a small circle inwards, a little bubble, and back out, and then follow the outline again, then a small bubble in and out. And you can vary the size of these bubbles and the shapes of these bubbles. So you just go make a bubble in, take it out, make a bubble in, take it out, make a bubble in, take it out. And then we do exactly the same on the other side. So we make a bubble in, out, in, out, in, out, and you just go along like that. You can already see it's starting to look a little bit like the leaf. We are then going to make small lines in the middle of this shape, and then you go to this shape and you make a small line going into the middle of that, small line going in there, 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 and then on the other side there, going right in between those bubbles. And there we have a basic leaf. So now that we have that structure, let's quickly go through the oval structure as well. It's pretty much the same. So you're going to make an oval, and then as we had this little dip at the top with the heart, you're going to give it a little dip in here, almost like a lily, the leaf of a lily. Then we add the stalk again in the middle. It goes from wide here at the start to narrow. If you look at any leaf, I'm sure there are exceptions somewhere, the stalk always goes from wide at the top to narrow at the bottom. And then we follow the same step of making little bubbles when we trace around the outlines of it. And again, you can vary the bubbles, make it bigger, make it smaller. And this is the basic structure of this leaf. Okay, and then the other side you also just make it like this with the little bubbles. Sometimes the bubble is more thin, sometimes the bubble is more bubbly. Okay, so then you have this shape. Now let's fill in those little lines again. So again, you just trace the lines into the middle of the tendril shapes you have there. Drawing each line out. Try to follow the curve of the leaf as you do this. So this leaf is curved a bit more like this here at the top. So our lines will also curve a bit more. Here it's doing something else. And that looks very leaf-like. Okay, then you are going to see in some Monstera leaves that some of them have little holes inside them as well. So let's draw those holes in with little circles. So you put the circle between the stalk and some of the bubbles, and you can also vary these circles in size. Maybe add a smaller one in there. And you just do it like that. And let's do it on the other side as well. So let's put a bigger one in here, long jelly bean like one, and then a smaller one in here. And then you just continue doing this So now we have a little leaf with some holes in it. Okay. But some of these leaves also don't have this wrinkly thing around the side. They just have the holes inside of them. So we're going to combine that oval shape now with the heart shape. Let's put it here. So you make an oval shape, a light oval shape, and then we make the heart shape in here. So we want that little point at the bottom, and then we draw the heart around it. Okay. Then we quickly draw in the stalk in the middle. And now it's easier to put in these lines before you put in the little circles, because then you know when where the circles need to go. So you're just going to put the lines in here. Oh, something that I forgot to mention, let's quickly erase that, is usually you want to kind of stagger these lines on any type of leaf. So if this line's coming from here and that one's coming from there, you want to put the one on the opposite side in the middle of those two. So you put it there. And then this one, you also put it in the middle, this one in the middle, in the middle, in the middle, and in the middle. And now we put the jelly bean shapes in, or the little holes in it. Not every level needs to have a hole in it. So there are your Monstera leaves without that little outline thing going on there. Yeah, and hi to everyone that has joined us. I am glad that you could make it. Okay. This is looking a little bit like a 3-year-old's self-made alien mask that they brought home from school. So that's a good way to remember it, actually. Alright. So let's look at these in 3 dimensions, because we only looked at the front parts now, and then we'll color them a little bit later. So let's say you have the pot here with the plant in it. Let's just draw the pot. It's basically just 2 smiles and 2 lines going down. There's your pot. Let's say that the plant starts here, right? So this one stalk is coming all the way here, and the leaf is facing towards us a little bit on its side. So the leaf is kind of here. So an interesting thing to note about these plants specifically is that the stalk attaches somewhere more in the middle. The leaf doesn't start here, it starts, let's say, a third or a quarter of the way in. And from here you will draw your heart shape. So we take the edges out, take this one kind of down, make that little point of the heart, and then we also need to extend the stalk to where the leaf ends, like that. And let's walk the trail around it, adding the bubbles in. Adding the little holes. You can see I'm adding the holes now. First, it doesn't really matter in which order you do it. Just make sure you have everything at the end. but now I messed up a bit with that bubble, so probably a better idea to do it the way that I said in the beginning. Okay, so that's one leaf on our plant. Let's draw another leaf that's up here, and you kind of see it from the side. So we draw the stalk. These leaves are flat, so we see them like this now, but if you turn them to the side, you're only going to see the flat part. So from the side then, we have a little oval, and remember that the stalk connects somewhere a quarter or a third of the way inside of our little oval. And now we need to think about this in 3 dimensions. So you're just going to draw the heart as if someone sat on it, kind of flat, like that, like a water lily from the side as well. And we take that around. And another thing, and I actually draw this stalk a little bit wrong now, it will curve more, doesn't matter now, is that this stalk kind of forms like a little umbrella when it attaches. It doesn't attach and then go entirely flat. It forms a little curve, and then your leaf will also form that little curve a bit, but most of the leaf at the back you won't really see. Now we also need to add our snail trails, little bubbly shapes. So they will look a bit smaller because we're looking at the leaf from the side, and the same, they're smaller and flatter. Okay, and now we pretty much have a leaf from the side connecting the dots. Like that. And then we have that. I think for this it would look good if we have a leaf that's nice and large-ish around here. One of those really big leaves. So we add the leaf in here, and then we find halfway, quarter of the way in, this is where our stalk will connect. Then add the little heart shape around the leaf, like that. You can see the heart shape there. And then we add the stalk in the middle. This is very repetitive. No, that's not nice. Let's remove that stalk there at the back as well. There we go. Stalk in the middle. Snail trails. Then adding the little veins of the leaf. I don't actually know what you call them. If you know what to call them, please inform us in the comment section. What do you call these things on a leaf? The Afrikaans word for it is arkies, which translates to arteries, but I doubt that that is the English word. And then we need to add the little holes in as well. Here and there, just sprinkle them like a good seasoned steak. And we just created a potted plant. So that is fantastic. Now we need to remember when coloring this that, oh no, this one's also facing us, eh? Okay, let's add another leaf and let me show that to you as well. So let's add it in here. This leaf is facing away from us, which means that where the stalk connects, it will curve away from us and come back. Let's add the heart shape in there. Heart shape. heart shape. This is looking wonky now. Let's see if we can fix it. Okay, so the stalk is not connecting nicely. So let's change the stalk. Taking the stalk a bit more down just completes this kind of curve that we had there. So let's do that. It's interesting to note that the younger the leaves are, they're also less rough around the edges and they have less holes in them. So let's make this a young leaf. So we'll just make it a little bit rough around the edges, just a smidge, and we add the veins. Add these veins in here. Remember, it's curving away from us. These are terrible veins. We can fix them when we color it and everything. Okay. And then we just add one hole there and one there. I'll put one here for good measure. That's fine. It's a young plant. So young plants don't get that many holes. And then one other thing that I just wanted to point out is the angle here of the leaf. It's pretty much just above 90 degrees, and this angle can change a bit, but the Monstera leaves tend to have more like 100 degree, 90 degree angles, not really much more than that. So you won't have a leaf that when you draw the stalk, the leaf sits there. Usually you have the leaf that, oh, that's terrible, that sits like that. That is the worst leaf ever. Okay. And then the larger a leaf is, the more it will droop down. So you'll maybe have a young leaf that's still happy and perky like that, and then when the leaf starts being a little bit heavier and larger, it'll more droop a bit more like this. So your larger leaves will have a larger angle here. If you see the angle between this stalk and this stalk and this one and this one, this is a larger angle. Smaller leaf, bigger leaf, smaller angle, because gravity is literally just pulling it down there. But this one isn't as heavy. Okay, I think that's pretty much it on the structure of these things. So I'm quickly just going to take a break in which I drink a sip of water. And let's go ahead then and color some of these. So we're going to start first. I'm going to show you with a little bit, just with some markers. So we need greens, a yellow, maybe a light blue or a dark blue even. I don't even think I'm going to color that pot. Okay, so we have these markers here. Which one will we color? Oh, we need the background color as well, of course. Of course. Let's take a nice contrasting color. Okay, so I'm not going to take a lot of effort, put a lot of effort into erasing all of my pencil lines right now, so bear with me. So we just fill in the background color. And now remember, these are holes in the leaf, so we need to color them with the background color as well. Color all of that in. And then let's make it an art style where we outline the leaf. so that everyone knows what's going on in this picture. And we outline these little holes in it. Okay, so there's the background. Let's decide where the light is coming from. So your light source is completely up to you. I think that my light is kind of coming from here. Okay, so when the light is on this side, we now need to try and think in 3 dimensions where the light will be hitting this plant. So I think a lot of it will be here, because this part of the leaf is kind of facing the light. Some of the light is over here, going down here all the way. This part will be a bit more in shadow because the leaf is doing this. So the light is hitting there, but not really hitting here, with this being the central stalk there. Okay, and then as the leaf is curving away again, the light hits it. And then this is also a little bit more away from the light source. So this is basic shading. Now let's grab our lighter green and we kind of fill around everything that's not really in shadow per se, but is not being lit up. And remember, you are welcome to ask me questions anytime you want to in the comments section. I would also love to get to know you guys a little bit. I saw that Ashlesh, tell me if I'm saying it right, by the way, also was very excited about the video, and I'm again very sorry that it had to start a little bit late, but we are here now. So please don't be shy to connect with me in the comment section. I'm gonna color this in. This is looking very pop artsy at the moment. But as soon as we start playing around with the paint, I think the color will be a lot smoother. Okay, I think that's most of the kind of neutral zones, if I can call them like that. Let's just add a little bit around here, just a smidge. And then we need to add the shadowy zones. So we take the darkest green that we have and we fill in the dark side. In the dark side, you can also go onto your little veins a bit, like making a small triangle onto the vein, just showing the person that's looking at your art where exactly those veins are running. Like that. Okay, that is looking very colorful. And then we also just need to color the stalk. Oh, this one's not working. Okay, well, goodbye then. Coloring the stalk as well. And because this is such a colorful drawing, For good measure, let's add some light blue into it just to give it that pop of color. So every little spot that is not colored yet, we make blue. Just for a pop of color. And the blue can even mix a little bit with your yellow, because then it will just make green. Magic. Magic, magic, magic. Just making sure that every surface of this leaf is now colored in. All of your art doesn't need to look like it's stepping out of a museum. Sometimes it's also good to just have a little bit of fun with colors. Here we go. I think it's a good idea to just define these holes so that the yellow doesn't really look like it's bleeding into that. I'm really bad at coloring in the lines, so some of our colors already bled into that orange, but that's the basic idea. Okay, let's leave the markers and use some pencils. Again, if you only have one medium to color with, use it. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, so these are actually my watercolor pencils, so we can even play around with some watercolor. Just getting the right colors. Every type of greenish color that I have. And I think for this one, let's make the background blue. Yeah. I'm quickly going to find my paintbrush and then we can play around with the water as well. There we go. It's just any type of paintbrush. Okay, looks. Let us color this one. I like that one. I think this is one of the best ones that we drew today, actually. So firstly, we just lightly erase all of our pencil marks, just so that we can still see them, but that they're not being a bother by turning everything grey. Take that away. I think it will be really interesting if we add the light just kind of from this angle as well. So for this, we can even use two background colors. This blue one, and then it can fade a little bit darker that way. So color this blue one in. Now I need to look to where on earth I put those lines. It was like around here. There's another one. I need to start blending this blue with the other one as well. So in here I'm putting a lot of this light blue pigment, and I'm just coloring it a little bit lighter in here so that we can blend it with the darker blue. So you can see it's getting lighter that direction right now. That is because we're going to add a darker color in here. Oh, this is more purple. I thought this was my blue pencil. That's okay. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents. like that. Just add a little bit of pigment. And there we have a gradient. Okay, so we have two choices right now. Either we can smudge this with water, because these are watercolor pencils. It's pretty much just like coloring in watercolor paint onto your paper and then smudging it out. Or we can color the leaf first and give it a bit of a more interesting effect. Sorry, just moving my chair. So let me know what you think we should do. Should we smudge it out right now? Or should we first color in the rest of the leaf? Okay, let's smudge it out right now. Nothing happening in the live chat yet. Alrighty, let's go ahead. So I'm just taking a small brush, just kind of smudging the color out. Trying to keep the water on the outside of the leaf, not smudging the water inwards, because then it will interfere with the coloring later. Smudging, smudging. Just like that. These pencils are magic, pretty much. Oh, and if you're wondering what brand they're just Faber-Castell aquarelle pencils. They're not the most expensive on the market, so if you want to play around with them, they're definitely an option to consider. I think I have a little bit too much water now, actually. There we go, and you can see how the figure is just popping as soon as we're blending in the background color. When we blend in the background color, we're just making sure that the background is looking coherent. Just makes it a bit easier on your eyes to know what is in the background and what is not in the background. Okay, so that's smudged out. Now we need to color in the rest of the leaf, but let's leave that to dry for a little bit and let's start playing around with the gouache on this potted plant here. So I already have a palette with some colors on it. My brush is still a bit missing. I found it. There's my brush. So the colors that I have on the palette is this dark green. It's Viridian green. It's this one. I just bought the Montmartre gouache paints set. It has 12 little tubes of paint in it, but you can also get it in 24 tubes or 30 or something like that, I think. So it's also a nice beginner set. So this is the Viridian Green. We're going to use that. Nice thing about gouache is you can reactivate it when it's dry. Let's add some, it's called pale green, to the palette right there. We will also need some yellow, so we have this lemon yellow, if it will come out. Have this lemon yellow. We can add that as well. Where to put it? That is the question. Let's just put it here out of the way. You can always pick the paint up and move it somewhere else if we want it somewhere else. We're going to need this color. That is Prussian blue. It's that little blob over there. And then white. I just have a titanium white here. I find that reactivating white doesn't work as well as just using some more white, so let's put a little bit more white there. And then the colors around here, this looks like yellow ochre, this is burnt sienna, this is crimson. We're not really going to use these three, but if we do, I will show you how we're going to use those to mix. So let's get into it. Oh. Let me just check if you are able to see. Okay, I'm gonna move this page a bit down, move this out of the way, and then you can see the color mixing process. There's a lot going on this table at the moment. Let's just move that out of the way. And then or we need to, I want to paint that picture, so let's put it here. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so first quickly background. Now we didn't choose a color for the background. I actually really like that light blue setup we have. So I have a cerulean blue here that we can use for the background. So let me add that to the palette as well. Just add it here. These light blue backgrounds are definitely working for me. Okay, take some of that background color. Gouache is a water-based paint, meaning that your water will mix in with it quite well. And then we need to paint the background. Gouache applies so smoothly, guys. It's so satisfying. Add that in there. Okay, let's see if we can kind of make a little artistic type shape around here, because we're not painting the entire page blue, unfortunately. So just hint at the background. The background will most likely kind of extend, it at least has to touch that leaf, so that we can make sure that this leaf looks part of the picture. Then need to add the background in here. And around there. Make sure that the big blob of color is also touching the pot. Alrighty. So that's the blue. Oh, and we also need to paint the little holes as well of the leaves. Can't just paint those outlines that we drew. So let's go ahead and do that too. This water paint is still not dry, so I'm thinking let's finish this background and then we see how dry the watercolor is. You can color that leaf and then we can color these leaves. Otherwise we can just color these ones first and then the watercolor one. Okay, so there's a stalk going through here, so you just need to remember that, otherwise the picture won't make sense. Like that, like that. You can see that this is coming together quickly as soon as you start adding these little bubbles into the plant leaf. Then it starts looking like the Monstera plants pretty quickly. Did I miss one now? Okay. Then this is still not dry, so let's paint these leaves. I'm just using color straight out of the tube now, because that's much easier than now mixing every color as we go, and then you can also easily follow along and there's not a lot of complicated mixing involved. So we're going to use this pale green now, just to paint the base layer of each leaf. The thing I love about gouache paints is just how opaque they are. It's really easy to get that illustratory poster type of effect with them. Okay. again, if you have any questions about anything that happened or is happening on this video, or just any art questions in general, please don't be shy to ask them to me in the comment section, the live comment section. I will definitely see them if you ask them, and then I can reply to you in real time. That is the magic of these live streams. I think for the purpose of the stream, I'm not going to paint these other 3 leaves now. I just want to show you how to color it with gouache. Maybe at another time, if you guys are interested, we can just have a general just painting session over YouTube Live, where I just continue with one of my projects, and then you can just hop in and out as you want and ask any questions as you want. More of a casual setup, not a tutorial setup. Okay, so now we pretty much have the base colors down. It's looking a little bit rough around the edges, but nothing that we can't fix. There we go. Okay, now it's time to add light and shadow. So I think let's start with shadow. I'm going to add a bit more of this Viridian green on my palette because I don't want to reactivate the dry paint now. I'm a bit lazy. We have places to be. So just take some of that dark green. And now we never decided where the light is coming from, eh? I think let's make it interesting. Let's say that the light is coming from down here. So let's say that we have like kind of a floor light or something coming from here, and then there's just some ambient light. So the light is coming from there. The darkest part of the leaf will be on the side that's opposite to the light. And this is most likely tilted a bit away from the light source, so most of this will be dark. The light is most likely not reaching these parts of the leaves, the furthest away from our light source. Make this almost blackish. And then the stalk, this is more for stylistic purposes. I'm just going to add the stalk in there, even though the light will actually catch that area. It's just to kind of still have the stalk visible. Okay, now we need to see. So each small little leaf part has its own little shadow. Getting some more of that green there. I keep taking this page closer to me. Each small leaf part has its own shadow, and the closer it gets to the light source, the thinner this shadow is. So here it will be really thin, and really thin there, and here it's a bit thicker. please let me know if I should continue making live sessions like this that you can attend. If this is something that you are interested in, I'd love to know. Then I can organize some more of them. And we also need to give its own little shadow to each jelly bean. There's a jelly bean. Okay. I actually think this will be completely in shadow, so let's not kid ourselves there. And this little leaf looks like it's bent in underneath its friend. So the friend will throw a shadow on that one. Okay. I think for shadowy parts that's pretty much it. Now let's add highlights. The highlights we are going to mix with some of that light green color. Light green. And we're going to add a whole bunch of yellow to it. And then just a smidge of white. And we have this vibrant, light, almost lemonish, greenish color. I'm just going to make a little bit more of that. And a little bit of white. There we go. Just a bit more of that. And we can add the highlights. So again, the light is coming from down below here. So the areas that are the closest to the light source get the most light. Everything the light touches, it's not our kingdom, it's the plant. And see, with only 3 colors, you can add a lot of 3D dimension to an object, and it looks really illustratory. This is something that I like about gouache. It's easy to create that illustratory style. So we just add these highlights around here. Then, just for a little bit of good measure, let's take a little bit of white. Doesn't have to be pure white. And we just add a little bit of white there, just little specks catching light. Maybe here, there. There we have it. First painted Monstera leaf. Oh no, this always happens with me where I mess something up without realizing it. Oh well. Okay, we'll work with it. Let's fix that mistake. Back to watercolor. We're done with the gouache now. Except if you only have a gouache, then you are not done with the gouache, then only I am done with the gouache. Move all my stuff out of the way and grab the pencils. So here we have the pencils. These we used for the background, so we're most likely not going to use them. back into the mindset. The light is coming from above. Okay, so this is our lightest color. I'm not going to use a lot of it because the leaf is green, it's not really yellow, so let's put that to the side. This is kind of green, this we can use. And then we have this color. These two look the same, so we're just going to assume they are the same. So then we have this color, and then we have this color that doesn't really fit in here, but it's still useful. Okay, so I have these 4 colors with exactly the same principle. Let's start with a neutral-ish tone, neutral to light-ish tone. So this is the neutral color. So we use this neutral color in the more neutral zones, and just kind of as a base to start with. And the other neutral color that's a little bit darker. I still don't know how we're going to fix that blob of gouache that we have, but we'll make a plan. We will make it work. Okay, so we have that other color. Now we basically have our neutral colors down. Take the highlight color. The light is coming from here, so this will be catching the light. This will be catching the light. Again, just the sections of the leaf that are the closest, and we need to remember about the stalk. So let's make the stalk light in this one. We have a little bit of light here, a little bit of light here. More of the light will be catching these larger intact areas of the leaf, because these little leaves are curving around a little bit. So it has the vein in the middle, and then it's curving this way and it's curving that way. Okay, so that's our lighter color, and then we take the shadow, add the shadow to the shadowy parts. Surprise, surprise, the areas that are the furthest away from the light. And when you're looking at one of these holes, this little bit there will be in shadow because the light is not reaching it, it's going into the hole, and then the light will catch that little rim there. Shadow, shadow, shadow. Making the holes 3D. A little bit of shadow just around these edges. And then the real shadow comes in here. And I just want to add a bit of this dark green to the whole leaf, because Monstera leaves are actually a little bit darker. They're not as yellow. Just adding this darker color generally to the leaf. And then we also need to add those little veins back in. We'll do that. I don't know what I did here. There we go. And then we water it. I have no real process of doing this. I just kind of make sure that I blend the water and it's kind of everywhere. And now I and then we need to blend this gouache out. Oh, that worked quite well. Okay, that's how you fix the mistake that you made with the gouache, apparently. And watercolor is very flowy, and it's really difficult to get hard edges with watercolor. So I think when you're painting with watercolor, you shouldn't strive for 100% detailed, specific drawings. If things flow a bit into one another, that's what the medium does. It's normal, happens to all of us. That's the look that watercolor creates. So if some of the screen flows into the background a bit, that's fine. And yes, another technique that you can do, especially with watercolor pencils, is to draw on top of the green that you just painted, on top of the water. That gives you a very vibrant color to work with, just like that. And it also adds that pencil quality back in a bit. So then you have this nice vibrant green that you can work with. I just messed up that stalk bit. But it's okay, it's watercolor. It's normal, guys, it's normal. Okay. That's pretty much it. Let's see if we can blend out these rough markings a bit more. We want to find that sweet spot between this is pencil and this is watercolor. Just blend that out a bit, like that. And then of course, as I said, you can use this bluish color just to add a bit of atmosphere into the leaf. But I think we messed up a little bit here. I messed up, you guys didn't. You guys are probably making masterpieces, aren't they? So let's just add a bit of detail back into this leaf. This blue is actually darker than I thought. It's a nice shadow color. There we go. There's a bit of detail back. Again, let's try to forget that these are watercolor pencils and just try to nudge them a little bit to the watercolor side. Okay. There we have it. This is how to paint Monstera leaves. Monstera leaves. Monstera leaves. No idea. Okay. Let's put me back on. Okay. Thank you so much for joining this session. I am glad that you all made it. I hope that you learned something and that it was fun for you to join this session. I'm thinking about the live now. I'll just cut it quickly a little bit and then the session will be available hopefully, but I want to cut the long front part off where nothing happened so that you can get to the juice of the live stream a bit quicker. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day wherever you may